Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to another session of Sincerely Stan, where we talk about things that are important to you. Um, First of all, I want to say that I'm absolutely just really overwhelmed and really excited about the fact that this is our sixth episode, and including the initial one, which was just the intro to what Sincerely Stan was all about, is all about. Um, And out of the five letters that have come in, um, three have been by men. And I'm really pleasantly surprised by that. And I just want to, encourage you guys, continue to reach out, let's continue to chop it up. Let's expose our feelings and get things out. And, we can work through, things through each other's experiences and testimonies. So, good job to my guys for writing in. This letter is by a gentleman. Oh, before I do that, okay, I just want to, first of all, there's going to be a lot of content, some reality TV type interviews and so forth. Not negative, but real time stuff coming up. We have a lot of great programming coming up from Sincerely Stan, so we need you guys to subscribe, and then if you hit the notification bell, you'll get every video that we bring up. Otherwise, you'll just get occasional ones. At least you'll have some remembrance that we're here and we have something to share. Um, and we're going to have a lot of giveaways too here. What we have is a shirt. You guys might have seen them on Facebook, facebook.com, sincerely Stan. Stan, an overzealous or obsessive fan of what? SincerelyStan.com, which is our program. So we have those in orange, black and white with red lettering on the back, I believe, and this mauve color. So we do have those. We'll be giving them away. And then we're going to do something here with these. Those are men's, by the way, and they're all extra large ladies. They don't run big, but if you wear a large, I'll give it to you. And just subscribe, and then in the comment section, write your name and the fact that you've subscribed, and I'll contact you and we'll get your information and we'll send the stuff right out. We have these. These are cute. They're V-necks. These are women's sizes. I have these from every size from medium up until 2X actually in women's sizes. So see, these are cute. These are going to be embroidered with Sincerely Stan. I'm thinking about putting it right here on the shoulder, have it embroidered in. What do you guys think about that? Write in. Drop some comments and let me know what you think. And here's this last one. It's a blue. It's kind of like a navy blue or something. But yeah, see, these are cute. These are women's. So all of this stuff and more will be giveaways, things that we have for just saying thank you for being our subscribers and hanging in there with us. So now back to this dude. This letter is from a gentleman. I titled it, because he didn't title it anything particularly, Mind versus Feelings. It's kind of a long letter. I'll go through it because I want to get to it because it's kind of interesting. Dear Stan, are feelings enough to stay in a relationship that isn't fulfilling? I've been in a relationship with a woman for just over 2 years. In the beginning, the relationship was refreshing, like I've never experienced before. We got along well together, made each other laugh, enjoyed spending a lot of time together, started a business together, traveled together, etc. You know, all the kinds of things most people want in a relationship. True. He goes on to say, she's a great candidate for marriage for the right person. I know based on the things I just shared, most people will think, what's the problem? Let me clarify my thoughts and feelings about her as a person. I have an emotional feeling of love, care, and concern for my partner, but due to some disconnect, I don't feel in love. I find her physically attractive. I respect her as a wholesome and generally good person to know and be around. She's a great cook, helps me in any way she can. She's loyal, there's no issues of infidelity. She has no children. There are no such issues there. She loves her family almost to a fault. Not that it really matters, but I'll throw it in for clarification. She has a career that she has flourished very well in. And my man goes on to explain, I realize I've explained this in a way that people want to know what's the problem. So now I'll explain a bit about myself and what's important to me. I'm 10 years older than her. I don't think that's a problem between us other than my particular interest in my future. I'm at a place where my legacy, the contribution I leave to life, matters to me more and more. I'm at a point where I feel money in large amounts is to be used to somehow help someone. She shares that point of view, but not the passion to move on it. My focus first is that we have a goal-oriented life where we establish mutual goals and work toward them. We're just living a life together. There's no collective drive toward anything that will benefit our relationship or future together. We've had countless conversations about this. She said she's on board with establishing these kinds of plans and goals to work toward, but she doesn't respond to, act on the conversations that we have. Every effort to put this in place in our relationship seems to stall out. My situation is the divide between my head and my heart. My heart will wish for us to somehow find our common ground concerning any direction our life should go together. My head says, based on the length of time we've been together, I feel we should begin to seriously consider who we are together and how we plan to seriously proceed as a couple, if that's the plan. The fact that as a couple we've talked and no action is being taken is causing me to wonder. If this is the right person if this is the right relationship for us as individuals. In spite of what she says, she seems content on living our lives together as it currently is. Actions speak louder than words to me. Does all this make sense? What I'm asking for doesn't seem to be too much to ask, does it? Signed, head or heart. That was a hearty letter. And I want to congratulate you, sir, because for having the courage to write in and bare your soul and have it spilled out on a video, and to give me the privilege to be able to talk about it and see if there's anything I can do to just give you, a nugget where you can consider, how you want to proceed. I did talk to this gentleman. I just want to let you guys that see this video know this, so I could have a little bit more insight. But still, some of the things that I comment on didn't come up in our quick conversation. So let's just go through it for a moment. You ask, are feelings enough? That was the very first thing that you asked in this letter, and the short answer for me is no, because feelings generate sometime from information that is improving, and there's many times there's not enough evidence for our feelings to be able to substantiate why we feel the way we do, or even why we act the way we do. So the short answer is, our feelings in and of themselves enough? My personal opinion is no. You talked about you guys have started a business together, you've traveled and so forth, in just over 2 years' time. It's a lot. It's a lot crammed into one time. I will say that, because you did mention, I'll fast forward a little bit, that this young lady has a promising career. I don't know how much of that plays into all of the scheme of this, how much of, her career, encompasses her time. So that would have something to do with it too. But you guys have certainly done quite a bit. You started a business together, you travel together, and etc. So if this is quality time that's been spent, then just over 2 years can mean a lot. If you guys aren't seeing each other that often, then that's a horse of a different color. Is that a little cliche, or did I just kind of make that up? Anyway. You go on to say, I know the things that I just shared, most people would think, what's the problem? That's exactly what I thought. because you were giving, this lady all these accolades and kudos, and then, you hit me with the bomb about let me clarify my thoughts and feelings about her. So I was like, yeah. So what is this all about? But then of course we've spoken, and now I have a little bit more insight. So, but yeah, initially that's what I thought. So what is the problem? Um, the age factor for you guys is probably not a big deal, unless of course she's 15, you're 25, or something like that. Um, that can even be good because it's known fact that women, yes, I said it, ladies are more mature. God intended that they reach a level of maturity before we do as men, and their interests are different. They're more security oriented and so forth and so on. So um, the 10-year difference is probably good. Where you may be 10 years older and you guys probably may be even on the same plane in terms of your emotional, stability. Maybe not. And I'm saying this for a check in the women's department, because I do think that they mature quicker than we do. So the 10-year thing, and you've even said you don't think that's a problem, other than your particular interest in your future, and that's what this letter is really all about. When you talked about, the difference of the age and went to talk about specifically one of the concerns that may have the age is that you're more concerned now with your legacy. Legacy being, and we've talked a little bit more when I asked you to explain it. I mean, I know what legacy means, and people do, but just for your clarity, in your subjective definition, what is your legacy? And you went on to tell me about, you know, what people say about you when they think about you after you're no longer here. What comes to mind? What kind of impact can you lead? What would the remainder of your life? And those are your things that you're classifying as your legacy, which is in fact your legacy. So, um, when I read that part when I was initially reading the letter, it made me sit up a little straighter, and it made me think a little bit differently because that's very important consideration. So, um, when you talk about how money and various materialistic things have a different value to you now that you're older, I get that because I actually feel that way myself. You said that your friend that she shares your passion, but she shares your point of view. Let me correct myself, but not your passion to move on it. And in my notes, I wrote in the context of what we're talking about. I'd like to know more about how this lack of passion actually plays out in you guys' relationship, the dynamics of it. How does that how is it working? I mean, is it argumentatively? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just talking. Is it argumentatively? Is it one of these cases where you're not listening to me? Is it saying one thing and doing another? I mean, there's some type of manifestation about this lack of passion that has caused you concern and enough concern to call in, to write in actually, and call in actually. That's how we spoke. But for me, it's kind of a broad term, a lack of passion. I know what you mean broadly, but I don't know what you mean specifically. And for me to talk to you and advise you, I'd have to know more of the specifics to give more specific um, advice, if that's what you want to call it, interjection. Because you went on to say we've had countless conversations. To you, that means a lot. And in my notes, I put about what, how are the conversations structured? Are they comprehensive conversations? Are they full conversations where the both of you are, talking about how you feel about this subject matter, about your future? Are you guys actually sharing, having a comprehensive conversation, a give and take conversation? Are you both sharing? Or is it just more one-sided? And if it's more one-sided, is it because one person's bogarting the whole conversation, or is it because the other person doesn't have a lot to say? Maybe their thoughts are not formulated, or so forth. These are just things that are popping up in my mind. I'm not trying to hit any bullseye, but I'm kind of more or less stabbing in the dark. But these are things for you to consider, because are these comprehensive conversations, and how are they structured? Are they structured you, or are they structured, let's try this, we, and, being inclusive of the two of you as a couple as you are? So, because that plays on, how things play out too. What time of the day are these things happening? Are you guys talking at the end of the day and when you're tired, early in the morning when one of you may be tired, or you're designating a time where you both can be reasonably refreshed and responsive to this type of conversation, because it takes some thought? Have you guys written anything down and then come together and and shared your collective thoughts? Because sometimes we get into a tangent rather than staying on course. So sometimes it's better to just write things down and share your thoughts. One talk, one listen. The other talk, the other listen, and respond to what your mate is saying. Not have another agenda that you want to talk about as soon as they finish talking, but yet respond to what they're saying, so that you guys can stay on the same page and stay on track. So those are the kind of conversations that I think that are necessary. You say she doesn't respond, and again, I wrote that's a broad term, because the dynamics of the lack of response, how that plays itself out, is a missing factor. Is she giving you the hand? I don't want to hear nothing you're saying. Is she doing that? Is she just walking off? Is it argumentative? Is it, sit there and hear you and it's in one ear and out the other? Is it a bunch of empty promises? I'm going to do this and I'll do that, and it doesn't happen. So how does that manifest itself? Because that is important too. No one can broadly comment on and give any kind of good critical a good critical assessment of a relationship if they don't have enough facts to talk specifically. She doesn't respond. I don't know how she doesn't respond, so I can't talk about how that may impact the relationship as a whole. So I do know that she should respond, and I find it hard to believe that she just, intelligent, career-oriented woman, I'm assuming educated, with some type of sophistication, is going to respond to you in some way, but, is she responding in a way that, in a way that you can identify with? So those are some things that, maybe it's just not that she's not responding. Maybe she's responding and she's not responding in a way that you feel is sufficient. So maybe you can feel informed enough for you guys to take the conversation further, because you guys got to talk in a way that where the conversation can move forward. But if you guys stay stuck on one point or make points to try to score points rather than let the conversation have some fluency and both of you be of one heart and say, I'm willing to hear what you say and I'm willing to hear what you say and I'll respond to what you say rather than having another agenda. So her responses have to be, I guess, something in short that you can identify with. And maybe that's the case you don't. I don't know, because like I said, I don't have enough information on that. Your heart versus your head. You were a little bit specific about, and our heart. You said your heart. You wish for your heart, for you guys in your heart to somehow find common ground. In my notes, I wrote the heart is connected to our feelings, and by the time my brain, gets any information, it's already been heavily influenced by our emotions, by our heart and our emotions, which they work hand in hand. But they've already done their damage, and then when it comes through, if our head, we don't give it a balanced scale type of consideration, and we work more heavily on the emotions, and emotions, I feel, can sometimes give us a false reading. And it's more of an emotional decision than it becomes than a practical. So your heart will wish for you guys to find some common ground. That's, hurrah. I would wish that for you too. But you say your head, and based on the time that you guys have been together, will wish that you guys would begin now to seriously consider, you know, who you guys are together. It's like you're like saying like time out. I want to know who we are and what we're doing, and I get that. I get that. I would want to know too. So, um, you know, all talk and no action. That was being a little mean, but I guess if I thought I had made myself perfectly clear to my partner, I might be where you're at. So empathetically, I can understand where you're coming from. Um, you know, but again, I don't have enough information to be able to, like pointedly advise you because of the broad terms. Um, and in your closing, and I get it because it's kind of like, they're polarized. Your head and the heart are have in polarized places. Um, but you're asking, does all this make sense? And I wrote in my note, yes and no. And I can feel your pain, regarding this, but I don't have enough details, or in this case, enough information to, to know how this plays out, in you guys' personal life, how these things play out. So for me to pointedly advise you, I think would be a flaw on my part. All I can do is offer you this blanket, you know, overview of how I feel, and a lot of it based off my own personal experiences. How I feel that you should handle this handle it. I find it really hard to believe that you guys talk and mutually agree on something and it just never happens. Really, so I just think it's not just that black and white. I think there's a lot of gray area in this case in the middle, and that being the case, I think I'd like to hear more. I'd like you maybe to write in or call in on the audio. Um, Blog Talk. It'll come across the screen here in a minute. Blogtalk.com / sincerely Stan. You can call in on an audio show, and they're listed on the Facebook page, which is Sincerely Stan. Um, and then you can just call in. You can call in and lend some clarity and let our listeners hear a little bit more about it, so that we can as a community we can kind of chop it up and help you out. If you want to write back for more clarity, that would be fine as well. Um, just subscribe. You subscribe and let all your loved ones, friends, and loved ones subscribe as well, so you can stay abreast of some of this good content that we're going to have coming up. So that's all I got, guys. That's all I got this time. As always, to my friends, fans, and family, God loves you, and I do too. Bye.